Hey, what's going on, guys? Let's get the Sunday Scans video up and running. All right. Make sure that's that screen perfect. All right, let's get right into it. Let's take a look at the market and then we'll go through watch list stocks here in a minute. QQQ. Right, it closed right at the 50-day moving average. Let's just zoom in kind of on these candles. You got the 50-day moving average right here at about 713.50. You got the 9 EMA just above it, about 717, give or take. 20 EMA right there. I added the 4 EMA recently. Um, and I noticed its value, so I'm excited to have that on my screens as well. And basically, I just want to take out Friday's high. We remount the 20 May, remount the 50 SMA, and I think we're in for a decent sized move soon. I think you can use basically Thursday's low and Friday's high as kind of our near term areas, and then right up above you've got Tuesday's high in this bear gap that I think are the spots that you want to look against. You want to see Friday's high getting supported and taken out. You don't want to see Thursday's low getting rejected and lost. And then same thing. Once you get up here, you want to see this be turned into some support. Pretty simple, cut and dry. Um, you got the fall 2-day low. Don't want to lose that. Um, Otherwise, yeah, I mean it's pretty kind of a simple setup on the indexes going into the. Excuse me, bless me, thank you. SPY, we're above the all-time highs. Inside day, just above the 20 man. Again, nothing wrong with this. I know we feel differently, underneath the hood probably, but it's just the way she goes. Bitcoin, pretty strong rip last week, remounting the 200-day moving average, actually. I think this was about a 20-25% move in just a few days. Same thing with Ethereum, remounting the 200-day moving average, big burst. Great to see. And then you got the XBI move from Wednesday. Again, doesn't necessarily look like much, but this has been a nice mover. Been like talking about this for pretty much the entire year, I suppose. Hold a 50-day, hold a 20 May, nice hammer candle. Thing that's still in play for a nice little flag. If you're into some biotechs, don't have any individual on my list really. I've got some randos, Eli Lilly, of course, which I think is valid and reasonable. I got INCY on there, which I just think is a really nice base and kind of first consolidation out of that. What else do I have on here? I don't know if you want to call Oscar, that or Hinge, but I think these are reasonable. Same thing with AbbVie right here, clean level about 267, give or take. I see his flag out a little bit, but nice look, right? Nice breakout. Building out on the right side here. I think that's worthy. Obviously, Merck, big move. mRNA, big move as well. Want to let this kind of settle out a little bit. I think it'd be really nice if we drifted down versus drifted up, which is what I'd prefer to see. Kind of confirm this like 130 or 120-ish level as some support area. I'd prefer that on that. And then of course TEM, which really wish I would have executed this on the remount to the 200-day moving average. I saw the relative volume. I saw this building out. If you pull up a 30-minute chart, like it gave time. You kind of have this volatility at the open. You kind of establish a low, curl back up through the open. Get nice and tight underneath the highs, and then it kind of goes on its move. It's hard to adjust themes so much, like you've kind of had to in this market from uh, you know software one day to whatever AI the next day to memory relative strength to mags looking solid to gold stocks to copper stocks, metals, drug manufacturers, genomic stocks, crypto stocks. It's just been kind of a lot of moving parts for a short period of time, and then it's on to the next, and it's like, oh, boom, quick blip, which has been tough. I sent out a post this evening. We talked about it, throughout the week. But anyways, want to see how this builds out and consolidates. Going to need that. Obviously, big 3-day burst move. Not going to chase that. Now you're looking for that flagging on this, which is super reasonable. It's going to be on my list for sure. But again, not actionable as of right now. Um, Otherwise, Marvell's got earnings on Thursday. Nvidia's got earnings on Wednesday. Oh, just kind of want to go through some of these lists. I was like, let's just start at the top. Palantir, obviously everyone sees this setup. Had a nice day on Friday, up about 3.5%, a little bit off the highs. Couldn't close over 180. Would love for this, one more little contraction down. We were talking a lot last week about this 168 to about 164-ish zone, 165-ish zone. Still would like to see that. I'm not sure that's going to give it to us. I imagine we either get an inside day or a big red to green pretty quickly to start next week. And I might be willing to try it through 180 tomorrow. Might be willing to try it on a little bit of a pullback. We'll see. I really want to get positioned in this. Life would be easier, if I bought this slingshot on day three post earnings, sorry, day four post earnings, through the close, or even on the remount to the 200 day, or even the retest of the 200 day. Snowflake looks attractive. Thought it gave a nice entry on Friday. I took RBRK. We were talking about Frog a lot. Probably should have gone for Snowflake or PanW. But bottom line, it's an upside reversal on these names. CIBR, down 5 days in a row into a big spot, around this 94.50 high from, back in late May, early June, and it holds. Didn't necessarily want to see it pull back that far, but I guess it's just kind of the market we're in. I don't like how crowd, pulled back as far, but again, did put in a line in the sand, an upside reversal, to where, we can see how it reacts from here. Does it have egg action, bounce like an egg? Does it have tennis ball action? Gonna be really interesting to see. But RBRK, this one has earnings on Wednesday as well. Going to be important to watch. The one I do think is actually most actionable and probably going to be focused on it is this MDB. Really clean movement here of 60%, a little bit faster than the way snowflakes move. I still think you could be in snowflake from back here at the end of June. Again, 40% move. MDB's done that in a pretty short period of time, pulling back in, holding the 90 May. Again, this looks just like RBRK right here. I think RBRK looks a little bit better, but I want to watch how this MDB builds out. They got earnings at the beginning of September. Frog, a little bit thinner name, only trades about 1 million per day. I was in this from Wednesday, ended up stopping out pretty quick on Friday. For a small loss. Should have bought it back as it came into that 85, 86 support area in the 50-day moving average. Offered really tight risk there. And we were talking about, I should end up buying this too, about RBRK. And I'm happy with that. I got 96 entry on this, so that's doing good. Um, what else should we go over here? I'm just gonna kind of scan through or flip through my broader list to see what I want to mention. Circle, I'm sure people are gonna be asking about these. Gonna want to see just a higher low. That's it. We'll see how they act on a higher low. No, net. Again, like, is this doing anything like super wrong? It's not trading, great and predictable. It's very stop you out kind of action. But that's good, especially if you don't have a position. If they're stop you out kind of action, it's like, oh, stopped you out, and then gives you an area to risk off of presence buyer. So want to keep my eyes there. Some things like Zeta, again, look nice. These feel a little bit too not exactly ready yet. I prefer a little bit longer consolidations into the 20 May. Not to spread apart as much. So it's going to be a little bit tricky for me. Butterfly, I think, is one of the best looks. We'll see if this just goes right for $10. Or if it gives one more tap of 890. It looks like it's going higher. Big high volume close here at $8.90. Flag hold of the 20 May. Got a little bit here against the 20 May, and then kind of grinded up and attempted a little bit of a breakout on Friday, but I think it's got a good chance to continue in the medical device, healthcare type area of the market. Let's see here. Toast looks great. One over Snowflake is going to be a reasonable focus. One over Palantir going to be a reasonable focus early in the week. Frog, RBRK, Mongo Bongo. As TTAN. So this was PBAJ on Twitter. He kind of put this on people's radar, back here as we are remounting the 200-day moving average and getting over this like $80 base here. And it gave, it acted really well against that $80 spot. And now it's kind of wedging up like this. This reminds me of like that Reddit type of action, if you guys remember from last year, towards wedging up for a good amount of time. We're coming into $100 up here. So what I'd want to see is, basically just this start to descend and shake out down and give us a clean area to risk against, around, I would say, $88 is kind of the near term level I'm watching, 88 to 87. We start kind of wedging into this area over the course of the next couple weeks. I'd be interested in that. One that I'm keeping in my back pocket. Twilio, pretty interested in trying this at some point early in the week. If we reclaim the earnings gap low, that's 242.70. I don't think you necessarily need to wait for that to rate 242.70. Sorry, 227.02. I was on the next day. I was like, wait a minute, that doesn't sound right. 227. Don't know if you need to wait for that. Ideally, you get an inside day here to start the week. But as of right now, Friday's lows, your line in the sand, 215.79 that you're looking to trade against. Pan W looks great. On that TEM note, you got this CRISPR. You can watch how this consolidates as well. I think TEM is the best second stock behind mRNA. And yeah, I think CRISPR might be like third in terms of like tradability. And then there's probably like, some other ones underneath that are more impacted, I suppose, but nobody knows. But yeah, and then Merck, AbbVie, Amgen, I think are interesting. Let me make sure that my take it's in. SpaceX, I'm back and forth about this. Trust what your eyes are seeing. Don't have anything big to say on that. RNG, again, I listed a number of these softwares that I think are just a little bit extended. FIVN, Unity, RNG. I think it's okay to have all three of these on your radar and just kind of stay focused and see when they, allow you to set up. I'd prefer you keep eyes on, Palantir, Snow, MDB, RBRK, even a net. Or Frog over these. But you can't deny the strength of RNG. You can't deny this look on FIVN, and then same thing with Unity. And I put Path and Zeta kind of in that group, almost Toast the same way, almost TTAN the same way. Is that I want to focus on some of the bigger, better names first, and then dive into some of these a little bit later. Once I get kind of established. And then first and foremost, TQQQ is seeing if this ends up stopping me out. I know I moved my stop on sorry on Wednesday, or sorry, on Thursday. But I just wanted to see how this reacts, and I was okay giving it an extra 1% on my position, essentially, seeing as I'm working with a 72 average. So was able to give it a little bit extra room. Another one that I want to bring up is just Netscope, NTSK. Young IPO does 4 million shares per day, $5 billion stock. Kind of basing out here. Went on a nice like 5 day run right after IPO. It opened up at what is it, about $22. Went all the way up to, went on about 30% advance in the first 4 days. I like to see that. Gave this little mini basing period, kind of broke down, attempted, a big run. So it's just showing its ability to make, quick advances, 30% here, 30% there. And then, here's another 70% move. Here's another 50% move. So I'm fairly interested in this, and again, it looks just like RBRK, it looks just like Mongo Bongo, just like Net, PNW, all that sort of thing. Not sure what they do. I'm going to look them up right after I get off this call, but I like the hammer, I like the move, I like the volume pattern on this. I'm more interested the more I look at it, the more I talk about it. Eli Lilly's attractive. Should be in here from Tuesday, or sorry, from Monday. Friday is another good spot. But yeah, I think that's all I want to cover. Sales, another one of those cybersecurity ones, right under this $20. Same thing with Sentinel One. No, I'm throwing a lot of stocks out there, but focus is going to be pretty much the same obvious, strongest, biggest names out there. I still think you should have Dell and HP on your list too. Double inside days for both of these. SanDisk, double inside days. Micron above the 50-day. I've got Micron from 784. That's why I'm kind of giving it a little bit of benefit of the doubt. But we got this $1,000 level there. We got this $900 level there. We'll see what it does. It's going to come down to Nvidia's earnings. If this has a big nasty red bar, this thing's fucking cooked for a minute. And if this thing has a big green bar, maybe we're so back. So we'll see. Service now. Very interested in this. If you get a little hourly undercut of 127 and a little bit of recovery, I think this is one you could buy as early as tomorrow, around that 127 level. Um, Everpure. People aren't talking about this as much, but damn, why not? That looks kick ass, man. NTAP looks kick ass. Pulling into the 20 May here. Pulling into the previous highs, breakout retest. Why not? You keep hearing all this. You can't look at tech. You can't look at tech. I just listed. And then you wait, say, Patrick, oh, you got such a big watch list right now. It's because they're hot. They're hot looks. I know gold and Bitcoin are getting back above their 200 moving average from being down in the shitter. And, copper and, you know, your grandpa stocks are moving, but damn, these look good. It's really just semis that are kind of weighing down the sentiment right now. Like you can't deny that. It's really just the semis. And I suppose the neo clouds, the WGMIs, right? And the whatchamacallits, AI infrastructure, if you can. Um, yeah, there have been some failed breakouts in other groups and what have you. ITA defense group, looked great and then kind of, went on to shit the bed. We got, man, interesting stuff. All right, I'll leave you with that. Hopefully that little additional insight helps. And yeah, I'll see you in the morning.